Hi folks, HR Funk here. With something I have not done for a while, what I'm going to be doing today is taking a look at a brand new handgun optic. And as I've said many times in past videos, if I still had my 20-year-old vision, I would not be looking at handgun optics. I would just be shooting iron sights like I did back when I was in my 20s. But since I don't, I have been looking more and more at handgun optics, and almost unwittingly, I have a pretty sizable little collection of these things. I'm probably up to 6 or 8 different models now. And of all of those, this one is a little different from everything that I've shown you in the past. What I have here today is the Holosun 507 Competition or 507 Comp. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a close-up look at this optic. I'll be talking about its features and functions. And before long, we're going to head out to the range and see how it shoots, but probably not in this video. So stay tuned to the end while I tell you about exactly what I'm going to be doing with this optic. So here we go. Now before we go on with the up-close look at this new Holosun optic, there's a couple of points that I want to make. First off, although this is called the 507 Comp or 507 Competition, and obviously it's intended for competitive pursuits, there are features of this optic that I think make it a pretty good option for armed citizens, law enforcement officers, armed security, and what have you. So keep that in mind as we work our way through the review. The other thing I want to mention is this optic was sent to me by the fine folks at Optics Planet for this review, but that has no bearing on the review you're going to get. You are going to get my honest opinion of this optic. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the up-close look. And here's the first up-close look at the 507 Competition. The first thing I'll tell you about this optic is there are two different versions of it. There is a red reticle version and a green reticle version, and the only difference is the color of the reticle. Everything else is identical. But with the difference in color of reticle, there's also a difference in the MSRP. The MSRP for the red reticle version is $435, and it is slightly more than that for the green reticle version. I have no idea why. Now, with a little bit of shopping around, you can find these optics for less than that. In fact, if you go to the Optics Planet website, you'll find them both listed for considerably less than the MSRP. And of course, if you go there, you can also use my discount code and save yourself another 7% over and above the listed price. The second thing I'll tell you is if you are familiar with Holosun optics, you are going to spot something different about this particular unit right off the bat. And that is the fact that there is no solar panel on top of the optic housing. Typically with Holosun optics, there will be a solar panel. So there is a dual power source, just like there is with this older 507 model. And the internal battery and the solar panel work in concert to power the sight. So if the battery starts to run low and you're out in a bright, sunny condition, that will also provide power to the optic. This optic runs strictly on an internal 1632 battery, but on a medium setting, it has a battery life of around 50,000 hours. Now, if you do the math on that, that comes out to about 5.5 years or a little bit more than that. So there's plenty of battery life with this optic. If you change it once a year or even once every couple of years, you're probably not going to have a problem with your battery life. One of the things that contributes to that remarkable battery life is the optic's shake-awake feature. If the optic senses no movement for a period of 10 minutes, it powers down to conserve battery life. Then, if it senses any movement whatsoever, it instantly turns back on. Now that is programmable. The default setting from the factory is 10 minutes, but you can program it from 10 minutes up to 12 hours, or you can disable it altogether so the optic never sleeps. So regardless of exactly when you want it to sleep, or if you don't want it to sleep, you can program that to your liking. Also, we see here the side-mounted control buttons. To turn the optic on, just press and release either button. If you want to turn it off, you can press and hold both buttons simultaneously and it will power down. But with the sleep timer and the shake awake feature, I'm not sure that you're really going to need to turn this off because it will, in essence, turn itself off. And if the shake awake is enabled, meaning that you did not physically power down the optic, then anytime you pick up the handgun, your sight is going to come back on. Also, these buttons control the brightness settings. There are 10 brightness settings for the 507 Comp. The first 2 are night vision compatible, and settings 2 through 10 are obviously for normal lighting conditions. And I always think it's interesting because it seems like every optic that we see these days comes with night vision settings. And this is one of the things that I mentioned where for law enforcement, particularly tactical teams or even some military units, that might be something that is an important feature. But I'm just curious how many of the night vision compatible optics out there are ever really used with night vision devices. The body of the Holosun 507 competition is machined from 7075 aluminum alloy, which is the same alloy that's used for M16 receivers. It's also black anodized, which is the same finish that's used on M16 receivers. So I don't think there's going to be any problem with strength or durability of this unit. I would expect more or less the same type of strength and durability with an M16 or AR-15 receiver. The 507 comp has a side-mounted battery compartment that you can see here, which makes it convenient for when the time comes around that you do have to replace this battery. You don't have to dismount the sight in order to do that. You can simply open the battery compartment. Actually, this is a slide-out tray. Replace the battery, put it back into the optic, secure this screw, and the battery is changed. So again, very convenient, not like some sights you have to completely remove from the slide. Also, the entire optic is waterproof to IP67 standards. Now, I've seen that a lot lately with different types of electronics, but I really didn't know what it meant, so I looked it up. Turns out IP stands for ingress protection, and it can apply to water and also dust. With the IP67 standard as it applies to water, this optic should be waterproof from anything that it would normally experience, like rain or snow, or even being sprayed with a hose or something like that. It is also waterproof to a depth of 1 meter for a period of up to 30 minutes. So if you drop it into a mud puddle, drop it into anything that's submerged only a couple of inches, and you pull it out of there, it should not affect the optic at all. If you are going deep sea diving and you're going to be down for a long time, this is probably not the optic to use. But again, this is another one of the features for law enforcement, for anyone who works in the real world and might be carrying this optic for real world applications. This optic is intended to survive in the outside environment. Hand in hand with that waterproofing is a nice little design feature you can see right here. This is a drain hole, and there's one on either side. So if you're out in the rain with the handgun in a holster and rain is falling down in here, it's not going to pool inside your optic. It can actually drain out through these little holes. I thought that was a nice touch. Dimensionally, the 507 comp is 2.67 inches long. It is 1.96 inches wide. It is 1.25 inches high, and it weighs 1.7 ounces. Also, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more in a couple of minutes, the dimensions of the lens inside are 1.1 inches by 0.87 inches. So you have a nice large field of view looking through that lens. Something you can see here that is nice about the size of the lens on the 507 comp, as well as the body being as low as it is in the rear, I can see these extra high sights on the M&P 40L through the bottom of the lens. So if I would have a problem and the sight would go down, I can still use my iron sights. I really like that, and that's something I was not able to do with the last sight that I had mounted on this pistol. So I especially noticed it, and I wanted to be sure to mention it in this review. It's hard to get a look through the lens with the camera to show you the clarity of the glass. Hopefully you get some sense of it here. It definitely looks better when I look through it with my eye than with the camera, but you can clearly see the lines on the target there with no problem whatsoever. And again, when you're looking at it with your actual eye, it looks even better. Probably the most significant feature of the Holosun 507 competition is the reticle system employed by the sight. And this is what Holosun calls their CRS, or competition reticle system, and it allows the shooter to select whichever type of reticle he or she prefers for the type of shooting that's being done. By using the rear minus button on the side of the sight, the shooter can toggle through reticle options to include a 2-minute of angle dot, an 8-minute of angle open circle, a 20-minute of angle open circle, a 32-minute of angle open circle, or a combination of those, beginning with the 8-minute of angle circle around the 2-minute of angle dot, the 20-minute of angle circle around the 2-minute of angle dot, the 32-minute of angle circle around the 2-minute of angle dot, or the final option is the 32-minute of angle circle around the 8-minute of angle circle, which is also around the 2-minute of angle dot. So any of those is going to be available to the shooter And again, he or she can select whichever one they prefer for the type of shooting they are engaged in. When you purchase the 507 competition, it comes with an owner's manual, a warranty registration card, a tool that can be used for both mounting the sight and making windage and elevation correction adjustments. And it also comes with 2 different length screws. My M&P used the longer screws that come with the sight. There's also a shorter set, so you can use whichever screws are going to be most appropriate for whatever type of handgun you're mounting it on. And the 507 competition also comes with a battery and a lens cloth, and I'm not sure where the lens cloth is that came with this one. Apparently I misplaced it, which is why it was not with the other items that I just showed you. The screws that come with the 507 comp even already have thread locker applied to them. So literally the only thing you have to do when you get this sight is mount it to your pistol, go out and zero it, and you're ready to shoot. Now we've arrived at the point of the video where I'm going to tell you what I'm going to use the 507 competition for. If you saw my last video, I was doing a practical accuracy comparison between a full-size handgun and a compact handgun when both were outfitted with optic sights. And at the end of that video, I was pondering the question between speed and accuracy because the larger handgun had an optic with a larger reticle and it was faster for getting shots on target, but the smaller handgun had a smaller reticle and it was slower to get shots on target, but those shots were more accurate. This sight gives me the ability to test the different types of reticles all from the same handgun to see if we can achieve the best balance between speed and accuracy, and hopefully one of these reticles will give us the optimum accuracy at the fastest possible speed. So I'm going to be looking at that in an upcoming video, but that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, remember the discount code for House of Pain, either House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munitions. It applies at either one. You can use the discount code HRFUNK10, and that'll save you some money off your purchase from House of Pain. And don't forget the Target sponsor for the channel, folks. Go to Target's online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.